Welcome in to We Talk Facts with 9-year NBA veteran and Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer Erick Strickland and two-time Nebraska Football National Champion Clester Johnson. Talking and taking names in sports and day-to-day living. Sit back, relax, and join the show with 9-year NBA vet and Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer Erick Strickland and two-time Nebraska Football National Champion Clester Johnson.
Yeah. Once again, it's on. We are here. WTF. We Talk Facts, E. Strick and Clester Johnson for another show, another segment, episode 3. This is episode 3.
Yeah,
is it 4? It's 3.
It's 3.
Yeah, Stricky. Man, come on, man. You be 3, man. Your math wasn't mathing in B West, man.
All right. You know, I mean, you're right.
Yes. We thank you guys once again for tapping in on We Talk Facts here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. E. Strick once again on the mic. Harrison on the board, as well as my boy Sibo. How are you today, my guy?
Feeling good. You know, happy to be here again. Lots going on in the media, lots going on in sports media, and let's jump into it. Let's talk about it.
Well, let's start off by talking, one of the what we're going to talk about tonight, y'all, is I think it's a good one to hang around for, because we're going to talk about, one, we're in Big Ten country. This is where we are. Nebraska is part of the Big Ten, joined the Big Ten, and has been here. Haven't had the success, especially in the football realm, that we had hoped and expected to have in the Big Ten West. They're going to have one more season of divisions, and then they're going to switch it up. We don't know what that switch up is going to be, but at the same time, success in volleyball. Volleyball has been absolutely phenomenal. Softball has its peaks and valleys, as well as baseball. Basketball has not measured up in the Big Ten at this point, but that's hopefully to be a turnaround where we'll see the big sports starting to have a little bit more prominence in the Big Ten. But we're going to talk SEC right now. We're going to talk SEC dominance, being that LSU just pulled off the victory. One of the best College World Series, they're saying, with so many records that have been broken. Just the sellout crowds showing up. Great finals series. The redemption that not only LSU was able to get on Florida after losing to them in an earlier College World Series matchup, and also with Wake Forest going back and forth with LSU, and LSU kind of almost knocked out the box, found their way into the championship game, and now we're going to talk a little bit about SEC dominance and what that looks like. Clester, what's your thoughts right now as far as the SEC? What's your initial take as to the SEC? And then we'll delve into the whys and the wonders as to how they got to where they are. But what's your initial take?
Well, what I've been trying to get my head around, E, is back when you and I were in school, there was not this SEC dominance. I mean, they were there. They were there, but they didn't dominate like they are now. And
they had a few, like you would have Florida, or you would have Florida State.
Alabama.
They're ACC, but Alabama
championship in '92. But still, it
wasn't a dominance.
It was. At least for football, you had Miami, you had FSU, you had Nebraska, you had those teams, and then you threw in some of the teams that were still in there.
West Coast, USC had a little dominance at that.
I'm telling you, not during our time. If you go look at it, they didn't really kick off until Pete Carroll got there. He got that thing started. But prior, you had
parity.
You had McKay, like back in maybe the 70s, they did pretty good. 60s, 70s, USC was good, but today,
when did it shift?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, it shifted. I think because
it was a teeter. It's like being on the teeter totter.
Right after USC dominated.
Okay.
04, 05, after Reggie Bush and them took off, then all of a sudden Nick Saban.
Oh, Washington was kind of in the mix for a little small point.
Yeah, I mean Washington,
Oregon,
they stuck their toe in the mix for a second.
Yeah,
but they didn't make that kind of resounding impact like what's going on right now, because the run that Nebraska had in the 90s, I never thought that would be matched. I never thought that there would be anything that would parallel that dominance for 5 years when we went 60-3. I'm like, no, that's not happening.
Right.
But you look at what Bobby Bowden did at FSU, finishing in the top 5 for 15 years in a row. Like, I didn't think that would ever be matched. And now here you got Nick Saban with his understudy at Georgia. I mean, they are about to dominate for a long time.
Yeah, so there's a foreseeing. When you look in the 8 ball or the crystal ball, you don't see anything able to overtake them.
It's not going away for a while. And then on top of it, you got Lane Kiffin. Now you got these teams like Mississippi and Ole Miss, Tennessee.
Resurgent.
It's resurgent. I mean, so, you get the right person in Florida, and it's like they're back again. And LSU, they got the Notre Dame coach, LSU. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to die for a while.
Let me pause right there, because here's the thing. I look at the Notre Dame situation, right? Kelly, right? Brian Kelly, right?
Yeah.
I look at that situation, and there's a couple things I'm just going to touch on before we really dig into the whys of what we think the SEC is, and then we'll look at the totality of the SEC.
Stats.
And we've got numbers, we got facts,
we got
some facts to back it up
because we talk about facts.
Yeah, we talk about facts right here. WTF? It's not what you think; it's facts, actually. But here's the killer about it. Just a little touch. I think some people looked into the crazy 8 ball, and they had a little bit of inkling as to there was some writing on the wall. I think Brian Kelly was one of them. Looking up at Notre Dame, great place to be as far as, the monetary aspects of it, having their own deal, maintaining some independence, especially in football. They're able to tap in the Big East in basketball. So they have some monetary stuff that's there for them. But then you look at Lincoln Riley. I think this is no conspiracy.
Talk to me.
Woo! It's no
me.
conspiracy, but I'm looking at Lincoln Riley, and I think he saw some writing on the wall. He looked at that crazy 8 ball, and he's like, listen, in the Big 12, I can do some things, but recruiting against those juggernauts, I'm going to have a problem. So let me get out here, and this is where we're going to get into your facts. We're going to look at those numbers and see where the talent pool resides.
Yeah.
And I think guys like that began to look at it and say, I can't win the recruiting battle up here in Notre Dame. Let me get down here in the LSU, because I got right next door, I got one of the biggest recruiting blocks out of Texas.
Yeah.
I'm in the SEC, right next door in Mississippi, and right here in Louisiana. And then if I need a dip into Florida, I just get on the boat and going across the Gulf Coast, or the Gulf Coast, and get in the waters and travel on across there and grab somebody from Florida. I think that's kind of what was happening. Why some of those top tier coaches began to dibble and dabble and break camp and get into areas, because Riley can win in a recruiting battle even if he comes to the Big Ten, because he's not really fighting the battle.
Right.
I think we lost out, to be honest, at Nebraska coming into the Big Ten. Yes, it was monetarily valuable for us, but I think we lost out on the Texas draw that we used to have good access to.
As you would say, facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely
I
facts.
really think that the moving from the Big 12 hurt us when you're looking at having to battle some of the battlegrounds that your brand didn't maintain its level of excellence. So I want you to get on that.
If I could add to that,
go get it.
I'm gonna jump on your back.
Yeah.
People say the proof is in the pudding, Harrison, but that's not the case. The proof is in the numbers.
Yeah. In the number. What's the number?
What's the number? What's the number?
The number?
Okay. Anyway, I'm looking at 24/7 sports rankings.
Okay.
The top 10 states that have the most players in the 24/7 rankings. And when I just look at the top 5, and again, what you said about Lincoln Riley, Alabama with 15, Cali with 19, Georgia with 27. Texas.
Dang, that's right there in your home backyard.
Right in
20.
backyard. Right in
Good
the backyard.
gosh.
Texas with 38. And of course, Florida with 48. So, I mean, that's pretty much SEC country. And now you throw in Texas and Texas A&M being in the SEC. And I know Texas A&M did not appreciate Texas wanting to go to the SEC. But Texas was looking over at Texas A&M like, look at my baby brother over here getting 5-star recruits. Let me show them what we can do if we come over there, So anyway, that's just Harrison, that's just the early facts that I want to state. There's some more facts as we want to get into.
Come on.
So then we want to know the reason why. Let's get behind some of the whys. Now, let's start here. And we're just talking football right now. We're talking D1 men's football. We may mention the ladies a little bit on the show tonight, but right now there's a real vested interest in what's going on in some of these men's sports. So when we look at the last 20 years of national champions,
come on,
D1 men's football national champions, 14 out of the last 20 years come out of SEC. I mean, that just makes me sick.
That in itself.
That makes me sick. It does. And when you got Georgia and Alabama operating like they are, it's
fine tool, fine oil machine.
I mean, it's driving Tennessee to be better.
Yeah.
It's driving Ole Miss to be better. It's going to drive LSU to be better. And it's going to drive probably Auburn to be better. And if Auburn get the right coach, you see they've won championships over the years. So that in itself is I thought for a while that this thing would come back around. There'd be some, maybe it was just cyclical for a while, but the rest of the country is going to have to try to figure out how to match that energy. The rest of the country has got to figure out, okay, when I do make it to the dance, when I make it to that Final Four in D1 football, we got to be able to compete. I think right now there's only one team in the Midwest that's showing that they can compete.
Ohio State.
And that's Ohio State. Yeah. They're the only ones at the moment.
And they I don't know. Man, the way Michigan just ran roughshod over them on the last few years. Last 2 years, they did them dirt ball.
They did. But back in 2014,
they hit them with that woo.
They came through.
Yeah.
They came through. And I feel like Clemson.
When I walked through, okay, I'm sorry. Let me stop. Go ahead.
I mean, do I need to hit do I need to hit something in here?
When I walked through, that's how Michigan said they went in the shoe. Hip. When I walk.
So, we Clemson, I thought Clemson for a while had a chance to just kind of hang in there, and they were making a push with Alabama, and they just kind of fell back for the last few years, and Georgia has taken their place.
Yeah.
So,
and they're right there in the sweet spot. Let's be real about it. Clemson's success is also a part of them being in the sweet spot. They're right there. South Carolina is just north of Georgia. They have the same types of access as they do. Just the conference, the ACC, is not necessarily as potent as it used to. Like if you had Florida State, if you had those rivalries,
right,
that could ignite something, but it just hasn't been the same.
Well, what I just mentioned, again, the other guys in the conference, Alabama, Georgia got people to play with, right? They got people that they're going, each week I got to be on my P's and Q's.
I mean, within driving distance.
You're
looking at Tuscaloosa to Auburn. That rivalry in itself, obviously the stepchild, that's like Cinderella and the stepsisters beating up.
Let me ask you this.
on
Auburn for a while. I want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Are some of the other sports, do you think is football driving some of the other sports? Because let me throw out some other facts.
Okay.
Then you ask the question on this one. Baseball, okay? And we're just looking at the last 20 years. 7 out of the last 20 years come from the SEC. Okay.
Okay.
Track. NCAA D1 men's track. And we're just talking men's right now.
Yeah.
16 out of the last 20 years come out of the SEC.
Okay.
Okay. Basketball, only 3.
Mostly was Kentucky until they're
Right.
now starting to show
Right.
Auburn starting to
Well, Bruce Pearl is
yeah,
at Auburn.
Florida had some runs.
Tennessee is, they
Mhm.
got teams that are in there. And like I mentioned, so it's driven by football, track, that
Baseball,
baseball. I mean,
Softball.
those are major,
because Alabama was the dominant
right?
force for a minute outside of
Right.
Oklahoma.
But
Yeah.
look, Oklahoma's going
Oklahoma's
to the SEC now.
Exactly. So that's even part of that
that's
dominance.
that's gonna count there.
But
So-
let me throw something at you then. I was able to pull this from Knox News. I think this is a great breakdown on the topic that you're talking about. It says this: Tennessee has won their second straight SEC all sports title. Now, Mark, this is what we're talking about now. I just that's why I wanted to pull this out. Tennessee has won their second straight all sports title, and they finished atop the 22-23 standings in both men's and women's sports. Hear me now. Overall, this ain't just talking about football. This ain't just talking about softball.
Right.
This is all sports. There's an accumulation of points that are based on your winning
and in swimming
and all of that. All of that, right?
Yeah.
So a year ago, the Vols won their first SEC overall title. Now they've repeated as champions. The surge coincides with athletic director Danny White's 2-year tenure. Okay. Now, here's the real number. Tennessee scored 158 points in all sports. Who's second?
If I was to guess, I would say Florida.
Florida is second.
Mm-hmm.
Florida scored 141 points. Is that an SEC school? Florida's an SEC school, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Oh, man, I'm just guessing.
Guess it.
Let the record show I can't see what he has on his computer screen. I'm just simply guessing.
Guess.
I'd hang around the SEC is what it sounds like.
So I would say again, let me just throw something.
Throw it at
in
me.
there.
Throw it at me.
Arkansas.
Okay. Great guess.
Okay.
Pretty close.
All right.
Georgia.
Okay.
Are they an SEC school?
Yes.
Now, are we talking all sports or talking facts on numbers, right? Georgia is next at 135 sports. All sports.
All sports.
135. Guess who's next?
Stanford.
Alabama.
We really got 4 SECs in all sports.
Wow.
That is facts. I would have never assumed it's across the board all sports.
Stanford used to win that.
Yeah.
They used to win it all the time. So
we talk facts here, baby.
I'm going Stanford. Got to be in there somewhere, right?
We talk facts. Every SEC school, that's the overall top tier standings.
Does it show when do we get to a Big Ten team?
That's the top 4. No, they just gave me the top 4.
Okay.
Well,
I'll look that up. I'm curious.
Basically, that article is saying everybody else is irrelevant.
Basically.
That's what they're saying.
But look, it coincides with the SEC dominance. It coincides also in some instances with kind of how the football lays itself out.
Yes.
And you said something that's real, that the driver of the ship definitely is the football dominance.
Yes.
But then I want to go on a little bit more before we get near to our first break. I want to dig a little bit deeper. Mike Bianchi of the Orlando, he says this, and this is only a debate. Solder Heyman text line is open to you guys. The stream also on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also tap in there, but 402-464-5685 if you want to chime in the discussion. But Mike Bianchi says this. He says, the best players are attracted to a league where they will play in front of the largest crowds, work out in the plushest facilities, and get developed by the best coaches. Is that something you believe in? I think when you look at it, you've got to look at their coaches. You've got to look at their facilities. You've got to look at the weather. You've got to look at the abilities to be, I mean, like, let's be real about it. In their spring, they're playing regularly. Nebraska, in some instances, has to go down to Texas, or they have to go somewhere else in order to be able to have the same type of ability or go somewhere else.
Let me ask you this, because this thing has totally turned on its head. Again, if you push football back, 25, 30 years, you had your Miamis, your Florida States, but you still had Michigan, Ohio State, Nebraska,
USC,
Penn State. And let me tell you what's missing.
Notre Dame.
What's missing, E? What's missing from those schools? What happened? They had coaches there for a long time. Bo Schembechler was at Michigan for 20 years.
That's a good point. That's facts.
Woody Hayes was at Ohio State.
Come on.
Tom Osborne was at Nebraska. Joe Paterno was at Penn State.
And their staff stayed with them.
And their staff was there.
Yeah.
I tell you, as soon as you got some turnover going on there, all those old school coaches left, things start to shift. Terry Donahue was at UCLA. Like, again, if you go back and you look at USC have always kind of had some choppy coaching tenures
until they got with your boy that's coaching up in Seattle.
Yeah, Pete Carroll was
Carroll kind of settled it down.
Years, but I want to say I think McKay was there the longest. But the tradition really hit the Midwest because you had Notre Dame, who had Ara Parseghian. I mean, they had Lou Holtz. He was there for 11 years, 10, 11 years. And again, when these coaches left these schools, you really start to see a hole in what happened in the Midwest.
Harrison, what's some of your thoughts on it? Based on, you being a part of the younger generation, you've actually seen this begin to do.
That was actually my point. So when I first started getting into sports, it was pretty clear to me it was SEC country. Like, it really felt that way. You got to remember, he talked about it, the last 14 out of 20. It's been SEC for football championships. That is way. I mean, that's pretty much when I started watching football. I'm only 24 years old.
Yeah.
So it's been SEC dominant. And you just think about the runs. LSU in particular has been insane. Joe Burrow, they got Reese. They won their first women's LSU basketball title. And the list just goes on. And then, I didn't realize it's just across the board, all sports either. That to me is shocking. But we saw it in the NBA draft too. SEC led most NBA players with 9 picks. Big Ten was second with 8, and then everyone else is pretty much 4. But just across the board, I've grown up in SEC country, as unfortunate as to say, but I've seen it, and I don't know how you fix it.
We talk facts here.
We talk facts. And before we get out of here, let me just give you one more thing. Let's dive into why. We're going to get into the why when we get back on the next break, but something to just start you off and to kind of wet your whistle. Let's dive into the why the SEC wins so much more and then as of recent, right? Excluding the latest cycle, the 11-state SEC footprint has produced 197 5-star prospects since 2011. And the other states have churned out a total of 134.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're 60 something, 63 prospects more than everybody else in total.
Yeah.
That's just something to think about as to getting an understanding. I know stars don't matter.
We're talking football
totally,
though, right?
But we're talking football.
Talking football. Okay.
I know stars don't always matter, but at the same time, when stars hit, they hit.
Absolutely.
They hit and hit
Absolutely.
big. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about the why we think that the SEC and this dominant has persisted in recent years. Well, shoot, not even recent, decades now.
Decades
of time. But we'll be right back. 93.7 The Ticket. You are listening to WTF. We Talk Facts. We'll be right back.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box. I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit, and you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour, an opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You are so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Farrell's 10-week challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
Back to We Talk Facts on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Strick and Clester.
We're back on WTF We Talk Facts. Strick and Clester Johnson with Harrison on the board. We delved in. We're about to get into the why. Again, once you have an opportunity to join in the conversation as well, 402-464-5685 on the Sutter Heyman text line. You are welcome to join into this conversation. But listen, we're about to get into the why and why we believe some of these changes have happened in the SEC that has allowed it to have dominance. Now, when you look at revenues, the revenues between what they receive in the SEC and what the Big Ten receives are very comparable. We'll delve into that a little bit as well. But Cless, what do you think some of the whys are as to how this shift happened and why it has continued over the years? What are some of the whys to you?
Well, like I mentioned before, I really feel like tradition opened the door for the rest of college football to come in because, again, we look at Oklahoma, Nebraska, you have Barry Switzer, Tom Osborne at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best coaches in the game.
Some of the best coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You had Bo Schembechler at Michigan. You had Woody Hayes and a few others at Ohio State.
Bowden at Florida State.
Yeah, but I'm talking the Midwest.
Oh, you're saying Midwest.
I'm talking the Midwest
okay.
First. You had Joe Paterno at Penn State. When all these guys start to retire and start to drop off, then it became who's going to get a stranglehold on college football, and that's when.
So there was a domination void, or there was an empty space that people were trying to jump in and fill that void.
Believe me, there are some smart people down south that says, you know what? Now Tom Osborne, now Barry Switzer, now Bobby Bowden is not walking into these kids' living rooms because once you got one of those coaches in that living room,
it's a different story.
It was a wrap.
Right.
It was a wrap. But now it's the SEC now has that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are smart enough, I feel like, now to go, we're going to get the hottest young coaches also, because they got some hot young coaches mixed in with some hot older coaches.
Yeah.
The older coaches are not having fell off. They're recruiting. I mean, Nick Saban is smart enough to get guys around him that goes hard.
Mm-hmm.
They go into those backwoods.
Mm-hmm.
They go sit in those living
mm-hmm.
rooms, and they know how to talk the talk.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby Smart learned from the best. I mean, Nick Saban said Kirby Smart
gave him the blueprint.
Was his best assistant that
mm-hmm.
he's ever had. He was
mm-hmm.
there for 9 years,
mm-hmm.
and he knew it was just a matter of time before Georgia was going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo Fisher was a part of that crew.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't quite been able to uprise Texas A&M, but he had a great run at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
But why? So that's a huge reason. Just that tradition that left in some of those other schools. But now what is it? What's continuing to fuel that fire? Man, we got a list of things that we could talk about.
Well, let me start by saying this. Kirby Smart, out of his own mouth, during the post game after winning the championship, this is what he said. He said, let's be honest. The reason the Southeastern Conference is what it is. Now, this is coming from somebody who, like you said, has been under Saban, has been down there in the trenches of battling for recruits there. He says the reason the Southeastern Conference is what it is because the states that encompass the Southeastern Conference love football. He's like, there's an absolute love for football that goes I mean, we have it here. We do have it here, but he just says you understand what I'm saying. He didn't say just in Georgia.
Right.
He said the 11 states.
Right.
That's the whole of the SEC.
Right.
The 11 states all in some form or fashion love.
Well, then you got to factor in the population base. And now Texas is going to bring
that part to it.
Pretty much the whole state of Texas now that you got Texas A&M. You
got the Red River that separates Oklahoma.
And Texas,
They're a part of it.
Texas. But, I mean, you still got TCU in there fighting. SMU is in there trying to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech is in there still trying to fight. So, but I don't think they parity Texas and Texas A&M.
No.
So you mentioned recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Is weather a factor? I don't know. I mean,
I think it can be. I'm not going to say it is. I think sometimes we don't get the best of them because they're saying to themselves, every day I've went out my house. Like if you're a sub, you're gonna struggle in the Midwest to land the best of what the SEC has to offer in those 11 states. The reason being is, being from the South, I knew that every morning I woke up and I went outside to play with my friends. It was going to be hot. It was going to be warm. It was going to be nice. Might have some rain, but for the most part, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? And to them, it's not only about that. It's about the atmospheres that they've witnessed, watched, observed, been a part of. Then they can be close to home. Mm-hmm. Like in that whole sector, you don't have to go far. You can jump on the I-10. You can ride on the 20.
More family at games.
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm. So to them, to go out of that atmosphere. So I think sometimes we get the second pickings outside of the best because there's just not enough room. I think COVID helped because it shut the door on a lot of recruits that probably could have got into places, and it opened the gate for a lot of other places to be able to land some of these kids because they was given that extra year of eligibility. So I think that helped in some form or fashion. But I think if this continuation of Ohio States and Michigans and, the second five of football conferences, the Cincinnati's, if none of them can even get a sniff of the championship, then that's going to continue. I think the dominance is going to continue. But I will also say and ask this question, does the opening for both of y'all of the college football playoffs, does it make it any difference?
It absolutely will. But I think I got the blueprint because I've been really thinking hard about this and I haven't let it go. I think I got the blueprint on how things gonna change.
Okay.
The only way it's gonna change.
Okay, break that.
The blueprint really actually comes from Coach Tom Osborne. Okay?
Yeah, I believe that.
What he did was he went and got some Southern coaches. Okay. You got to infiltrate. Okay? You got to go
backdoor policy.
You got to go to Alabama. You got to go to Georgia. You got to go to Florida. You got to go to LSU. You got to start plucking some of their assistants away. You got to bring them up here.
This is what they thought Frost was going to do.
But
it didn't work.
When Coach Kevin Steele, who's now in the SEC, who was a linebackers coach at Nebraska, he went down to the South and were pulling a lot of the players up. He knew how to talk the talk. He knew how to eat soul food. He knew how to get on the grill. He knew the seasonings that go with things. Because there's an art to it. There's an art to going down to the South and becoming a part of the family. You got to get a few of those guys on the staff because then you send them to the areas that they know. When those coaches show up at the school and the coach starts talking to families and players going, hey, listen, come to Nebraska. I'm going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. We know what to do, which you can be that guy for us.
Your boy did that. Mickey Joseph.
Yeah, he was active.
Mickey Joseph was that guy. You don't get Trey Palmer if you don't have Mickey Joseph.
You don't. So again,
that's the infiltration. That's just a piece.
That's just a little blip. But you got to get a fair number of them, and you got to get them at multiple schools.
Yeah.
So you have a chance when you go down there. Because right now, you have a chance. But like you said, you're getting that second and third tier guy.
Yeah.
But to be able to get that top guy, you got to get some guys who've done it. That means you got to go to the Alabama staff. Matter of fact, they have a ranking that come out every year, top recruiters on staffs. Man, I would be targeting those guys, and I would pay them. You know, you're going to have to pay. You got to pay to play.
Pay to play, baby.
You got to pay. So I feel like that needs to be done. It's starting with recruiting. But one of the things we also mentioned, E, what about to get into the school?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
You know, I heard the Big Ten requirements is a little stiffer than what's going on down in the South.
Facts.
I know Notre Dame, one of the reasons that drove Brian Kelly away was it was a little bit tougher to get guys into the school. How much do you think that plays a part?
I think it does have something to do with it. I mean, when you look at a lot of the northern schools, like let's be real about it. Nebraska is a very staunch academic school. It's not. It's by no means a slouch.
You'll get put on academic probation pretty
quick. I was there.
And when they went to the Big Ten, they were frowning at Nebraska because there was these certain requirements that Nebraska hadn't gotten yet to be a part of the conference.
Yeah.
So
then you look at how tough it is to get into Notre Dame. Brian Kelly saw that. He's like, I can't get these guys in here.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Then you've got Pat Fitzgerald, who has won more Big Ten championships than even we have in the Big Ten, which is crazy. But nonetheless, with all of those stringent, he's won two. And in the West, the struggle's real up there. It's tough to get up in Northwestern. So I can understand. I think that definitely does have a piece to play in it. I also would say that when the fans of a program, they demand competitiveness, right? Yeah. I think that's something that we want, but down there, I think they demand it. Like we want and in some instances expect it here at Nebraska. The expectations, the Kool-Aid sometimes we drink, but they demand it. I think now because of the money
drinking, there's a lot of Kool-Aid drinking.
Because of the money, I think their facilities are top notch. I think they're, as Clester alluded to, they have the best coaches right now, the biggest staffs, and I've had conversations with folks at Nebraska. I'm not going to divulge who, but here's something I've said because we talk facts. We don't hold punches. I'm not going to get into names, but I'm going to tell you kind of the conversation. This speaks to nothing outside of the fact of this. When those young kids that you're trying to pull from those areas and spaces, when they come up here, right? I've talked about the thing that the perception can become your reality. Your perception of what you think or perceive or possibly have heard is similar to that with Clester. We talked about in our first episode when we talked about who we were, where we came from, our backgrounds. That thing plays into a factor because we had a perception, but when we got here, we had a different understanding. And actually, this place grew on us. And I've even talked to Bernard Day, who's a legend in basketball. Bernard stayed here. A lot of people that have come here, they stay here. Jay Foreman, you know what I mean? When they come here and you get a taste of Big Red Country, you love it because it's a beautiful place to be. But the perception when you come up here initially, I said to them this. I said, look, when these young individuals walk into those halls of those offices up there, what do they see? This isn't a racial thing. This isn't a racial component because I know that Nebraska is not that.
Right.
You know, we've been here to know that, right? Very welcoming, very open, very loving, great people here, right? But at the same time, these people down south don't know. Right. So when they arrive and they walk through those halls, they don't see nothing that looks like them. It's just a perception.
No, I get where you're coming from.
You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
It's not necessarily but it's the perception of what they see.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because parents are going to start asking the question, what happens if my son gets homesick, or who can he talk to? Who is he going to be able to stand next to, or someone stand next to him when he's having some feelings? I'm going to let you tap in, but that's just something.
We got to go real quick though here.
Okay,
We'll go to a break, but go ahead and finish up. I'll let you wrap it up.
What I was going to say to what you were saying is, we're a tribal people, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a natural inclination to want to be around people who look like you until you figure things out. It's just about comfortability.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about.
That's all I'm talking about.
Take it over, Harris.
Yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and throw it to break here. This is We Talk Facts. We got Erick Strickland, Clester Johnson, host, as always, here with us. I'm Harrison Arns, pushing the ones and twos. We'll catch you guys on the other side of the break.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery Lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com/Easter.
Spring Sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Back to We Talk Facts on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Strick and Clester.
Hey, headphones was off, but mic is still on. We still here. We Talk Facts. Finishing up with this last segment here. I'm gonna give Clester mic and let him kind of cook.
You gonna let me cook?
We got 7 minutes to
wind
cook.
it up.
We got 7 minutes. We've talked about a host of things this evening. And,
Man, we don't feel like we had enough time.
It goes fast.
It goes quick when we dip it.
And
when I walk through.
For the people who are listening that really know their sports, we might have missed a few things. But this stuff was just really kind of coming from our opinion off the head, off the dome. We did a little bit of research, but what we wanted to do was just try to open our minds to what's going on out there and how things are going to change and what could possibly happen to make change. How can we get our alma mater back on
point?
How can we make it here? How can the Big Ten eventually get to a point where they can compete again and be seen as a premier conference when it comes to football, basketball? We didn't mention wrestling. We do know that they still represent in wrestling. They represent very well in women's volleyball. And we definitely still want to give props to that.
I'm just going to talk real quick about the frustration of basketball.
Okay.
We put 7, 8 every year in the freaking tournament. And I will say my first few years, I'm doing my bracket, and freaking every time I try to try, like I'm trying to trust off of the fact that I'm believing in our conference. And God darn it, if they don't bust my doggone bracket every freaking time.
See, he picking with his heart.
But I didn't this year.
With his heart.
I told everybody Purdue was going to be out early.
Hey, me too. Good call.
I said they out early. And there was facts.
Yeah, that was facts, my friend. They was definitely paper champs.
Michigan State's the one Big Ten team.
I said Michigan State would probably be the one that would break through in basketball.
They got a tough coach.
Because of the coach.
They got a
great coach.
They got a good coach.
I knew Iowa was fraudulent.
I was biased on that.
Iowa basketball fraudulent. I knew they was I knew they was soft.
You don't believe in Fran? You don't think you can get it done?
No, sir. No, sir. Every year, I knew Purdue was the one, though, that I just Painter. I can't talk about. Ain't got enough time. Cook, Clester. I'm gonna let you cook. I go for days. We talk about.
Let's bring up some more things that need to be a little bit more equal. NILs become really big, and I do know in the SEC they are paying these kids very well. Matter of fact, they're paying them so well, they're making up for when we used to be in school. They're giving them our money.
Yeah.
Make me want to go back to school.
Boy. I told my mom, I said, Mom, good gosh, if you could have just, for multiple reasons. One, NIL out of Bellevue for Cless and I would have been absolutely lovely.
Preach.
But I told Mom, Mom, if you could have waited about 10 years, you and Dad could have just kind of chilled out for about 10 years. We'd be about 60, 80 million right
Harrison.
now.
Are you guys the same players with that money?
Yes.
Okay.
We loved the game.
Loved it.
We loved it. We wanted to be outside.
I don't want to be accusational, but I worry about that.
No, that's a good point, though.
There was no PlayStation. There was no.
That's facts.
There was no cell phones. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
So they was going to present us with an opportunity, and we didn't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
We was going to make sure, you're going to give me this money. I'm going to show you why
you need
you want to give me this money, right? We don't want to disappoint. It's right now, I feel like we're in the age where sometimes they get a little demotivated when they get money.
Facts.
So, that being said, NIL is a big deal. Another thing we didn't mention really is NFL careers.
The NFL careers
NFL
and the numbers
careers.
they putting in.
Woo!
The numbers they putting in.
Facts. That's facts. I hope y'all don't get sick of us saying facts, because that's why we wanted to do the show. When we come on here, we wanted to talk about, some real facts.
Some real facts.
Something that's gonna make you like Arsenio Hall used to say,
Makes you think,
right?
Yeah.
Make you say, But we could continue so much more on this subject.
Yeah.
We mentioned NFL career. I don't even know what the statistics right now in the NFL for the number of players that came out of SEC.
Just look at the freak.
I didn't.
Harrison will dropped it like it's hot on us.
We can get our fact checker really fast.
Harrison will drop
facts.
before we get out the door. Harrison, I'm sure, can find that and drop it like it's hot. But I will say that. Let me just say this: I'm grateful to each and every one of you that are tapping in and having an opportunity to listen, because this is a place where I have freedom, and we have freedom to talk about the things we love and care about. But class, give the folks, and we're gonna create a banner, y'all, so that you'll be able to see this at the bottom of the screen going forward. We'll create banner with our social media tags so that you can interact with us on a regular basis.
Yeah,
go
real
ahead,
quick. I just want to give that stat. So SEC right now, they are sitting at 65 players, Big Ten behind with 55 players. So not as bad as I actually thought there.
Right,
That's
right.
actually a little better. But I wonder if that's the lineman you get from the Big Ten that really. Well, that goes the same for the SEC though.
Yeah. So
give them your handle.
I'm about to open up the box on my Twitter handle. It's been really where I've only allowed people who I follow, but I'm gonna open it up. You can follow me at Tresvant Street, TRESVAN Street, STREET at Tresvant Street. That's Clester. That's a street I grew up on. In
East Street 20 for me.
That's the street I grew up on. And I'm like Eric said, we're happy that you're tapping in and listening. And we want some subject matters from you too.
Yeah.
Send us some stuff you want to hear us talk about.
Send it to.
We're gonna give you our facts.
Send it to Erick Strickland at ymail.com. Erick Strickland at ymail.com. I'll take it from there, but I'll give you my 93.7 The Ticket email the next time. But thank you once again for joining us on We Talk Facts WTF. We'll be back next Tuesday, 8 to 9.
No. Next Tuesday is the 4th of July.
Oh, not we off next Tuesday. That is absolutely
We'll
right.
be back on 11th.
The following.
Correct.
Yes.
We love y'all.
With Mike Sauter. Mike Sauter will be here with us on the 11th.